Is your demanding work lifestyle in need of fire-resistant clothing that can keep up? Well, L4FR clothing should be your go-to for quality, affordability, safety, and style. L4FR was founded by a third-generation oil field worker who is also a veteran. Thus, this company has a deep appreciation for reliability and longevity, all while we provide first-rate customer service. Our durable apparel will serve you well for many years to come, whether you're working on a pipeline, a lineman climbing utility poles, or in any other environment requiring fire-resistant apparel. L4FR has you covered. Our apparel is tough enough to resist hazardous conditions while still providing high comfort and style. L4FR provides clothing options to ensure your safety and comfort, whether you're on the job or not. To view our complete inventory of flame-resistant garments, please visit our online store at l4frclothing.com or give us a call at 817-757-4935. Si habla español.
Struggling with mobility, chronic pain, work, or sports injury? At Azalea Orthopedics, our team of highly trained physicians specialize in complete orthopedic care, pain management, sports medicine, physical medicine, and rehabilitation. If you've sustained a bone or joint injury, have mobility or movement problems, struggle with pain, contact Azalea Orthopedics. We're conveniently located across East Texas, serving 18 counties. When visiting your doctor, urgent care, or hospital, you have a choice. Demand Azalea. At Azalea Orthopedics, your health is our priority.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to NetSN's weekly wrap-up show. It's your boy Bret Swinney here alongside me is KO Kyle Owens, and we got CM Corey Marshall coming in here in just a second, and Vincent Johnson on his way. Kyle, how's it going this week, man?
Man, it's going good. Started a new schedule at work. I like it. I like it a lot. I'd rather go in early and get off early than go in late and get off late. So
we're glad you're on that different schedule here because now you're like off. You can get home. You may have time to get your stuff together and not be like rushing through the door trying to throw your equipment on and get ready. So I'm sure that's a lot less stressful for you.
Yes, and then just like tonight, I was in here about 10 minutes early, but then I had some technical difficulties, had to get it figured out. We got it all figured out. We're good to go now.
All right, and we got Corey and Vince here with us. We got the whole crew here. Welcome, fellas.
What's up?
I technically wasn't ready, but I guess I'm in.
Oh, I'm
What's
sorry.
going on?
Sorry. I thought
It's all good.
I saw Vince there. I thought you were ready to roll too. So, guys, how does it feel? This is a new thing tonight. For us, this is our first episode, and we are live on some new app that's come out. How does it feel to be live on our own app?
I'll be live on the hour. How about that?
Yeah,
it feels good, man. I mean, we on the app. We everywhere.
Now, I don't know if you guys noticed, but we had a notification to remind people the show come on, and if you click on the link, it will bring you right here. So hopefully we've got some people join us for the first time tonight that now know that we're here, and hope you'll stay with us tonight and talk 4A football. First thing I want to do is remind everyone, though, if you don't have the app and you're like, what's the app? I've got something here for those folks. We can go right here to QR code right here. If you're on an Apple device, QR code, you can scan it right here in the show, and it'll take you right to the app. You can download it. The Android one has been submitted, and we're just waiting for it to be approved, and we'll have that one going as well, and then we'll be on pretty much any mobile device. So it's exciting times here at NetSN. I've got lots of good feedback. And since we've talked about the app, Corey and Vince, Kyle, give us a quick take on your thoughts on the app.
It's very user friendly, I think, in my opinion, and it's the Football Friday app is kind of like all, big range of all Texas. This is more Northeast Texas and East Texas centralized, and so I like it better because it's more local teams that we cover. The teams I don't care about what the West Texas teams are doing right now. Like, I want to know what our teams are doing, and it's more centrally located where all those teams are there, and it's easy to access. And you got pick'ems on there that you can do. You got weekly polls that you can look at. Like, it's a lot of cool stuff. All the streams, the past streams, you can go and watch too. So I like it. It's very accessible. I think that especially in today's age where digital is growing, that as many platforms as you can be on, the better, I think. So I like it.
Awesome. I know we've all talked about it. If you want to hear more about what Vince, Corey, and myself thought, we have an episode of NetSN News, episode 3. We talk all about the app and break down the features of it. So go check that out on our YouTube channel. But fellas, it's 4A night here on NetSN. We're going to preview our 4A. Man, I'm excited to do this one tonight. This is kind of the meat of where we started. We've got lots of 4A football to talk about, and I'm just excited to take a look at these polls. Now, you guys, on preference, you don't know how the polls turned out. I don't know that I really looked at them either yet, and they are live on the app at this time, so you can go to them and check them out. They'll release each week as we talk about them. So I'm going to go and get that pulled up here a second. But guys, it was tougher than last week. The 4A East Texas area has got some really good teams. What was harder for you, the top or the bottom?
I thought the bottom was harder. I mean, I think it's pretty top heavy. I mean, you got your 3 or 4 favorites that you think could come out of this region and win state or make a deep run. Outside of that, then it's kind of everybody clumped together. They're really good teams, but it's kind of everybody just clumped together. And so to me, the top 3 or 4 were the easier part than the bottom rest of them.
Okay. Yeah. What about you, Corey and Vince? What do you got? I think I kind of agree with Kyle.
Yeah. I mean, clearly the top, especially number 1 is, the easiest thing to do was the top. The harder part was definitely the bottom.
Okay. Well, what I'm going to do is we're gonna start from the bottom and work my way up. I'm going to go through the poll, and then we'll go over kind of how we voted, and we can argue back and forth of why we disagree, because we're and it's not going to be all the same. I mean, it's preseason. We haven't seen these teams play. We're basing this on last season, what they have coming back, and kind of what our opinions are. So we'll start down at the bottom. We had a tie actually for the 9th position. That was 9 and 10 with Jasper and Van at number 9. Number 8 was Sulphur Springs. Number 7 was Lindale. Number 6 was Center. Tie for 4th was Kilgore and Pleasant Grove. 3rd was Gilmer. 2nd, Chapel Hill. And number 1 is Carthage in our preseason poll here on NetSN. I'm sure we've got some thoughts on that as we go down through. Of course, Eddie's going to be here tonight. We know he's here with us. He's got some thoughts here early with us. Van and Sulphur Springs are the weakest of that group, what he's saying. And Jasper should be behind Kilgore. Okay, that's what Eddie's got. Let's go through kind of how we picked it, fellas. I've got the results here. Y'all may or may not remember who you picked it. I mean, I don't know when you picked these, or Kyle's like, I don't remember. So I'll just kind of go through. We'll start at the bottom that way. We'll start with everybody's 10. At 10, Kyle, you had Rusk. Vince, you had Van. Corey, you had Anna, one of the sister schools, and I had Jacksonville at 10. So it's kind of, and like Kyle said, you've got a lot of different opinions here because the bottom was kind of wide open. I mean, until they start playing, it's going to be that way. I think Jacksonville with Coach Holman is going to have a great season. They're going to contend, and then District 9 for a playoff spot. They're not going to compete for district championship, but I think that 4th spot is kind of open. I think it's between Palestine, Jacksonville, Henderson. You got a couple newer coaches there with Coach Baker and Henderson. Coach Holman's second year at Jacksonville, and then Palestine is just always solid with a lot of athletes. So I think Jacksonville could be one to watch out for in that district making playoffs, because Coach Holman's a great coach. He was the coach on that state championship team with Chapel Hill 12 years ago now. But I think that's kind of why I went with them. What were you guys on your 10 seed there?
I went with
like them. I was gonna say.
Go ahead.
They're in that same district with Sulphur Springs, and so we have to kind of rope them in that in that area. So, but the Coyotes they're pretty good. They beat Center last year. I think they're a pretty good football team. So they've jumped some hurdles this past couple of years. So they have to be somebody to contend with. So you got to watch out for them.
I went with Rusk because unlike last week, I'm swimming in waters that I can actually, tread in this week. I'm familiar with these 4A teams. I wasn't so familiar with 5A and 6A. So I picked Rusk just because it's one of the teams I'm more familiar with. They made the bi-district round last year, and then they got 7 starters returning on offense, and that's a really tough district that they're in 8-4A D2 with Carthage, Center, and Van also in that district. So for them to make the playoffs out of that district and have quite a few starters returning, that's why I was looking at and at least gave them the top 10.
All right, I picked Van. I just felt like Van. They started out, being highly respected last year, but they kind of underperformed a little bit, I think. And a lot of that may have been because of who they lost the year prior. So I just look for them to kind of bounce back, and I still think of them as a contender. So, I threw them in there at 10.
Yeah, Van, I like that with Vince just because Van's got a lot coming back. They were young last year, and so they've got a really young group. I know we covered them in baseball, and they have a lot coming back. They've got some pretty good classes there, coming back, though, as far as the junior sophomore group from last year. So I think they're going to be a tough. Of course, they'll be tested. They've got Lindale early, Chapel Hill early, so we'll know what Van's made of in before district starts. I think there.
I want to correct what I said earlier. I said Anna. They actually got beat by Aubrey. Center got beat by Aubrey last year. It was an A school. It wasn't Anna. It was Aubrey.
It was the other
sister schools. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I always get those mixed up. Anna, Aubrey, Melissa. Anna, Aubrey, Melissa. Anna, Aubrey, Melissa. Okay.
That's okay, Corey. We'll forgive you this time. It's okay. It happens. We aren't as young chickens as we used to. It happens.
I should know. I go every time I go up to that area. I always pass by that the little area. Anna, Aubrey, Melissa. Anna, Aubrey, Melissa.
All right, so we'll let Eddie. Eddie's got Sulphur Springs at 10 on his list. So solid there for Eddie. All right, so we're gonna move up the poll here. We've got number 9. I had Van at 9. Corey has Caddo Mills. Vince has Kaufman, and Kyle has Palestine. Again, like I said earlier, I like Van. I think their schedule's very tough. They're gonna have Center, Rusk, Carthage just in their district. Then they've got Van and Lindale on the preseason schedule, just to name a few there. And I think they play. They're the ones that play Pine Tree first game. So that's step up. That's 2 classes up, or 2 divisions up, I guess, because Van's 4A Division 2, Pine Tree 5A Division 2. So Van's challenging themselves. So I think they're solid. Actually, wow, Eddie, I'm agreeing with Eddie on this one. He has Van number 9. I feel honored that I've picked the same as Eddie here. I must be on the right track.
Eddie, you and Eddie can both be wrong, but it's okay. It's very possible. I'm just throwing it out there. Y'all can definitely be wrong.
Well, Corey, tell us about Caddo Mills.
I mean, if you look at Cattle Mills, they've done
hold on,
some
Corey.
damage.
I have a question though, Corey. Okay,
What's
and
up?
you guys remind me with this. Last year, Corey would
This
not
ain't
vote.
last year.
Corey would not
This
vote
ain't
for
last
anybody
year.
with outside of 30 miles of Tyler, and now he's going to for his first two poll picks are Anna and Caddo Mills.
Two non-East Texas teams.
Yeah. So what are we doing, Corey? Like, you going?
Oh, wait. Oh, okay. So now we doing non-East Texas. Now we doing non-East Texas.
No.
Okay, that's fine.
That was the rules, right?
Cool.
That was the rules out, right?
That was the rules, yeah. Because we checked. Remember, we only poll we had that question last year was the 5A 6A poll, and that's why we decreased it to 5. That's why, because we weren't going to include these teams that were non-East Texas. So I'm just asking, Corey. You just tell me.
I mean, all of the groups, all of these teams have East Texas teams in their district, so that's why I grouped them in there. So
last year we said okay, Lancaster, and you yet to vote for Lancaster yet. That was our argument last year.
Yeah, I was like. That was in the middle of the year. I was like, you know what? I'm not even gonna go there because it was already done. So I'm not gonna vote for him. I was like, just wait till next year. Started with a clean slate. So I'm starting with a clean slate.
Okay.
This is what it is.
Sorry, go ahead, Cattle Mills. I just had to point that out because that was last year.
I knew somebody was going. I knew somebody was going to hate. I knew somebody was going to hate.
I'm not.
I knew the Cattle Mills. I knew the Cattle Mills pick was going to throw everybody. Cattle Mills. Y'all got to be watching. You got to keep up with the football, man.
Conrad's pointing you out here. Caddo Mills is in a district with Dallas schools: Quinlan, Ford, Wills Point, Sunnyvale.
Wills Point's an East Texas school.
Wills Point is an East Texas school.
Very
the outlier.
On the edge, very close.
It's on the edge, but that's just like Terrell. Terrell is Terrell an East Texas school?
Listen, Lancaster is not an East Texas school, but we did it last year. So guess what? We're doing it this year. That's exactly what we're doing. Yeah, you see my point. Is it not weird or what? It's weird. Exactly. I proved my point again. Doesn't matter.
But that's
not make it weird all the way over.
My only argument with that is, Corey, we don't cover that district. That's not one of the teams. If you go into the app, do you see that district in their entirety?
I don't remember. I didn't go out through. I didn't search the law.
Terry said
I know there was
not
a
East Texas. So Terry's here watching. He said that's not an East Texas school. So
exactly, Wills Point is. But that's the line. Like that Wills Point Terrell. That's kind of that line.
Okay, all right.
I would say Wills Point's the farthest western East Texas school.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe.
That's not. All right, that's Corey. Not bad. That's not a bad thing.
Corey, tell us about Caddo Mills. Then let's go. I'm listening. I don't know anything about Caddo Mills. I didn't research them, so tell me about them.
Tough school. They've advanced to the playoffs a couple years in a row. Pushed Gilmer to the brink a couple years ago. Got a great quarterback, good wide receivers. That's not a bad school. Got to watch out for them either way.
Okay.
Hey, I have a fun fact about Caddo Mills. A couple of years ago, Van played Caddo Mills in the playoffs in Mesquite, and me and Jeremy were doing the game. And never seen this before in football in my life, and we'll never see it again. Van recovered 4 onside kicks in a row against Caddo Mills. They had a terrible first half, did Van. Caddo Mills came out on fire. It was that year that Caddo Mills was undefeated up into the playoffs until they lost. And then, but they were a really good football team. But Caddo Mills took like a 30-point lead in the first half. And so Van was coming back, and they had to keep kicking onside kicks, recovered 4 of them in a row. Never seen that in my life. So it's my little fun fact about Caddo Mills.
And they have a great mascot, the Foxes.
The Foxes? Is there another
green fox
with the Foxes? I don't think so.
I don't really know of one off the top of my head. That's a different one.
Foxes. I'm like, okay, the green foxes. Hey, I've seen worse. Okay?
All right, Kyle, tell us about Palestine.
I like Palestine. Kind of the same thing I did with Rusk. It's one of those teams that I'm more familiar with. They didn't have the best season last year, only a 4-6 record, but they made the playoffs, and they have 15 of their 22 starters returning combined. And they're in that district of doom with Chapel Hill, Kilgore, and Lindale. So kind of the same thing I said about Rusk. For them to make the playoffs in that district, I think Palestine, I think they'll make the playoffs again this year, but you put them in a different district, they may not be the 4th seed in those other districts. I think they got a really good football team. They're just in an extremely tough district.
Yeah, they're tough to play against too, because if they get ahead, they run it down your throat. And so if you get ahead on Palestine, you're in good shape. But if you get behind, it's tough to come back. Chapel Hill learned that lesson a few years back. They got it behind in the first half, came out, made some changes. almost came back, but they were just too far behind because when Palestine gets it, it's just tough to get the ball back. They're a ball control team, so I like that. I mean, nothing wrong. I think, like I said with my Jacksonville pick, I think there's 3 teams there. I think Palestine was a little bit of ahead of Jacksonville Henderson, but I see them two taking a step up this year and being a little more competitive. And because I think a couple of those games were pretty close last year, so that 4th spot to me is just a coin flip. Whoever plays well or makes the least mistakes. So, but I think they're all good teams. Like you said, in that district is tough. So
there's not an easy game in that district. It's going to be a dogfight week in and week out.
No, and I talked to several coaches at Coaches Clinic, Coach Cochran and Coach Reardon, and that they definitely agree with that. Like, anybody can be anybody. Because I asked for teams they're looking for, and they basically were like, we're looking at everybody. Athens has been kind of at the bottom, but maybe Vince will have some inside tips on Athens this year. He had a few last year. Maybe those will come to fruition this year because Coach Harold and them always are competitive as well. So, I mean, top to bottom, just no nights off in District 9 4A Division 1. All right, Vince, you got Kaufman. Tell us about Kaufman. Terry's got a little bit of Terry's got a little information on Kaufman here for you. He's got a quarterback that's a junior, coach's son. We know how those are.
Yeah. Well, Kaufman, I like Kaufman. They got beat by who did they lose to in playoffs? China Springs, I think. But I think they finished about, at the time when I was looking, I got my book over here, but I think they finished about like 8-4 or something like that, or maybe 7-5. But I think it was 8-4. They look good, obviously. I think they're in their district. They're probably the top contender in their district. And I look for them to try to make another run in playoffs. But the way it's struck. I mean, first of all, 4A is just tough. I mean, when you run into China Springs pretty early, like it's like, what are you supposed to do? And I think if I'm not mistaken, Anna is in their district, I think. I just like them. I think they're a great team. Who was that said that? Terry. They got a good quarterback coming back. I expect some great things out of them. I did put them at, where were they at, number 9 or number 8 on my list or something like that. Number 8.
Yeah,
number 9.
Number 9. Yeah. So they've got Sulphur Springs. They're in there with Anna and Sulphur Springs. Vince.
Yeah, but I think they're tougher than Sulphur Springs to me. So, but that remains to be seen.
So Vince, I have a question. You said they're tougher than Sulphur Springs.
Mm-hmm.
You voted for Sulphur Springs as 8 in your poll.
I did.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I should have switched them. Is what I was supposed to do. I think I got confused because I in my head I had Kaufman. That's why I said number 8 at first. I guess I just switched it. But either way, it's okay. 8 or 9, it don't matter at that point.
I was going to the next line, and I'm like, wait, there's Vince with Sulphur Springs. So yeah. we'll go to the number 8, and I'll let you go first since you're already talking about Sulphur Springs.
Sulphur Springs is also a good team. I have, and again in that district, I think Kaufman is going. I feel like Kaufman is going to top everybody out. Last year, I believe the reason in my head I had Kaufman over Sulphur Springs was because Kaufman beat Sulphur Springs last year, and I thought it was pretty convincingly.
Hey, Eddie's coming at you with some numbers here, Vince.
Kaufman is projected to go 4-6. Who told you that? Who told you that? That ain't what my book said. But yeah, I still think Sulphur Springs is a good team. I don't think they're better than Kaufman, though, in my opinion. I may have got them mixed up in my poll, but I wanted them over them just slightly. They're still a competitor, obviously, but I think their hurdle is going to be Kaufman. And like you said, Anna is in there too. Anna is going to be at the top of that. So they're fighting for second.
All right. So I got the number 8 picks. Of course, Vince had Sulphur Springs. I had Palestine. Corey has Kilgore, and Kyle has Van. Palestine again, like Kyle just said, they're going to be right there. That's why I have Jacksonville and Palestine kind of ranked here. I do think those two, with possibly Henderson fighting for that 4th spot. They're in a tough district. They've always got good athletes and good speed, and they're a dangerous opponent because if they come out on you, they can get ahead. Like I said, and they're tough. Kyle, you got Van there. Tell us about Van.
Well, to touch on Vincent's point earlier when he was talking about Van, they had a good year last year, but they had a lot of injuries. Injuries really riddled, and I know you could pretty much say that with any high school team, but it just seems like Van got bit at key positions last year at key moments with some injuries, but still made the playoffs. Coach Moffitt always does a great job over there with the Vandals, getting them ready to play. They're going to play you tough every week. It's not going to be an easy out to beat Van.
Yeah, it's Chapel Hill.
Yeah, exactly. So I think they're going to have a good season. I really like what Van's doing. They got 8 starters returning on offense. Jackson Moffitt's going to be playing quarterback this year, coach's son. So yeah. I think he'll be able to run the offense well. They're going to be hurting on defense. They lost Bo Barton. He went to Rice, and he was all over the field for their defense. So they're going to have to replace some holes defensively. But I think Van's going to have a good team this year. I think they'll make the playoffs again, I believe.
Yeah, they're really young, and like Kyle said, they have a lot returning. And anytime you can have a coach's son as your quarterback position, that's never a bad thing, because he's usually, that's a lot of extra game film time, probably at the house. They can just kick back and watch film and just break it down. And he's probably grown up on the sideline, so yeah, he's probably been reading defenses since he was a kid. So yeah, I think that's a key thing for them. And like their district is tough. I think that district, though, kind of the 4 up top are kind of just, I don't say way better than the rest of the district, but I think they're kind of ahead of the bottom.
I think there's a clear-cut top 4 in that district.
So, all right, Corey, let's move to you. You got Kilgore 8. Tell us why.
Pick them 8. I mean, no research, no pun intended. I think they're returning a lot of guys. A few guys on their team. I just don't think they'll be as strong as they were this past year.
Okay. All right. I think, of course, it's Kilgore, so I think they're
going to be talented. I don't want to nitpick them. Honestly, without thinking about it, I don't want to. It's hard for me to rank anybody in the district at this point. I think majority of the teams are going to be talented. And that's the thing about it. Everybody's going to get better.
Eddie's talking to you, Corey.
I'm not looking at Eddie because I don't want to talk about it. But it's like I said before. Every team is going to get better in the district. I thought Palestine was probably going to be the scarier team, one of the dark horse teams, the scary team. But Kilgore's got they got a lot to prove. Kilgore and Lindell's got a lot to prove this year. I don't think they're as loaded as a lot of the teams are. I think Jacksonville's pretty decent. I think Palisade's going to be pretty good. It's going to be an upset somewhere in that district.
Okay. All right. Let's move on up to number 7 here. We got me and Kyle both had Sulphur Springs, and Corey and Vince, y'all had Lindell. So we had a split 2-2. Kyle, you want to talk about Sulphur Springs, and I'll chime in with you.
Yeah, I think Sulphur Springs is kind of on the uptick this year as well. They got 7 starters returning on their offense as well. Coach Faircloth, I believe either last year or year before last was his first year there. So kind of a new system that they're trying to install over there in Sulphur Springs. They got their quarterback coming back. They made the playoffs last year. They're in that tough district that Vince was talking about with Anna, Kaufman, and Paris, kind of the top 4 teams along with Sulphur in that district. So I think it's going to be a tough road for the Wildcats, but I just like what they got going on in Sulphur Springs.
Yeah, they're in a tough district and a tough region because, of course, they're going to line up over there against, China Spring and that district, that other district of doom per se, with Stephenville and I think there's somebody else over there. Alvarado.
They played Dallas Carter in the first round last year and only lost by 4, 37-33. So they played Dallas Carter really hard in that first round. But yeah, you're right. They're China Spring, like you said, Kaufman. They got to go through.
Yeah, Alvarado, China Springs, Stephenville,
Stephenville.
and La Vega, all in the same district, and they're in that same region. So it's tough. You're going to go
Salina's in
through
that region too.
Yes, Solano, right. So that's just a tough region to go through. I think again, I'm with you. I think they battle Anna for the district championship. I think they're right there. I think just for what they've got coming back, I think them and Kaufman and Anna are above. I like them kind of right there between the two for me, but I think Silver Springs will be tough. Coach Vince and Corey, y'all got Lindale here. What do you got with Lindale?
I mean, Lindale is Lindale. They had a tough beat last year with finishing third for the district, and it wasn't really close. It was Chapel Hill's and Kilgore's race, but again, Lindale is still a good team. They're well coached, very disciplined. And they get after it on defense. So I really do like Lindale, and I like their defense. Offensively, they do have some weapons too, but I think number 8 just or number was it number 8 or number 7? Number 7.
Number 7, yeah.
Yeah, I had him 7. I'm trying to remember it all in my head. I got it I got a photographic memory of it.
Where's your diagram? Where's your diagram at, Vince?
I didn't create no diagram, man. I kind of just I went through my book and I put it in the system and everything. I didn't write nothing down this time. I don't have no chart for everybody this time.
We need a chart. We need this chart.
It's not the chart today.
I don't have the chart of madness.
You gotta add a pen. You gotta add a pen.
For the playoffs for that. I'll say that for the playoffs.
So we got Eddie's got them at 8, so that's pretty close.
Yeah, he's pretty close. Yeah, I think Lindale is a good team. I mean, honestly, I think they're a really good team. I think where I put them at is pretty solid. They're gonna make some noise. I don't think they're ready yet to display the kind of dominance they had a couple of years ago with the big tailback that they had back then. But I think they're gonna make a little noise this year. So okay. Yeah, I got them at 7.
Well, I'm gonna bring in our guest expert tonight real quick before I let Corey on. He's our Tyler Paper correspondent. Mr. Brandon Ogden is joining us here.
Brandon,
what's up, Brandon?
Guess Brandon.
Using the term expert loosely.
Hey. We need some expert knowledge here. We got Corey that's picking Anna and Caddo Mills and teams in the DFW area. We need you to reel him in.
I'm mesmerized by Vincent's backdrop.
Oh,
Superman.
Yeah, my Superman. I always got to keep that in somewhere.
All right, Brandon. So I had Brandon make a poll of his own, so he could kind of compare where he's sitting and as far as where we are. So we're sitting at 7 right now, Brandon. So give us your 10 through 7 there and why you went with who you went with there.
I went Sulphur Springs at 10, and then that last spot I was deciding between Sulphur, Van, and Liberty Islo.
Okay.
And then but Sulphur's they had all 3 of those teams had a pretty good season last year. Had kids back, but I don't know. I just went with Sulphur there. Palestine at 9. They've been a consistent playoff team that they get 4th every year, but they're in that loaded district that has represented that region 3 years in a row now. And then the year right before that, they went to the 3rd round. So I think, and they got a lot back. I think they're knocking on that door, and they're the team that's given Chapel Hill the toughest game every year. They beat Chapel Hill 2 years ago when Chapel Hill met. So
Brandon, that's a sore subject, Brandon. That's a sore subject.
Yeah, I'm just giving some reasoning. And, Jasper at 8, and Jasper, they're always a good team. And I text you asking you if you included Jasper, so you said I could. And they got Ty Anthony Smith, A&M commit, one of the best linebackers in the country. Just Jasper's always got athletes, and then I had center at 7, which seems low because Center is a really, really good team this year. There's a lot of good 4A teams in East Texas this year, and but Center is the one I could see making that jump. And I don't remember what week it is, but whenever they play Carthage late in the year, the athletic talent on that field is just going to be unreal. With Cash Cross at quarterback and Caden Dixon at running back.
Hey, Brandon, you know where you can watch that game?
Oh, right. Well, NetSN / the Rider Sports Network or whatever, right?
Yeah, NetSN. No, it's just NetSN. It's
Okay.
just NetSN has that game now. As Center Rough Rider Sports is now a part of NetSN. So yeah, we'll have that game. And so if you're not able to make that game, or you're somewhere else at another football game, you can tune in right there on the app.
Or if you miss it, you can go back and watch it.
Yeah, watch it later. Yeah. But okay, so our poll, Brandon, since you weren't here, our tabulated poll between the four of us combined, we have Jasper and Van tied for 9th and 10th, basically. We have Sulphur Springs 8, Lindale 7. We have Center 6, Kilgore and Pleasant Grove tied for 4th. Gilmer 3rd, Chapel Hill 2nd, and Carthage 1st. And we're just kind of going up and talking about each one of our picks as we go up. So we're on 7. Vince and Corey were talking about Lindale. Corey, you hadn't got to throw in your 2 cents on Lindale. Go ahead.
Well, I think Eddie kind of beat me to it. They're replacing 8 on the offense. O-line is going to be very young. Got probably one of the best offensive line, not one of the best offensive line in East Texas, one in Alabama. It's going to be interesting to see what Lindale does. The special playmakers. I don't know if they have the right guys right now, but Coach Cocker, man, this is what happens when you have a program. You don't rebuild, you reload. Yeah. And their habits, and you coach habits from this point on. Winning is contagious. Those kids know how to win. You come in, you gotta fill the shoes. And I don't think they're gonna reload as that much firepower, but I think they're gonna be able to compete. So you're not gonna count them out of that district at all.
Yeah, so I got to talk to Coach Crocker a little bit, and he mentioned the offensive line and how much they were going to have to replace. Now, he has Poe, the talented tackle. He had the other tackle. I can't think of the kid's name, but he was on JV last year. The only reason go ahead.
Christian Petway, and
there you go. He was on JV
about him yesterday. He saw some varsity time. And he's got some D1 interest. Big boy on that right tackle. That's those 3 middle spots that they're trying to figure out.
That's what he was trying to. They're competing for the middles. I think he had 5 guys competing for 3 interior spots. But he said that he played. The only reason he didn't play as much last year is because how talented the line was last year. It just shows how much they lost on the line. So that's the thing. Like, they've got a lot to replace the line. That line is bigger than you think. When you won't have anybody to protect your quarterback or your running back, it can make your talent look a lot less on the field when you don't have anybody protecting them, because you can't open a hole for your guys. It can make for a long and painful night. So that's what we had at 7. So we'll move up to 6 now. I don't know that this will ever happen the rest of the season on this poll, but we all agreed on number 6, all 4 of us. So everybody here voted for Center at number 6 on our poll. So, shout out, guys. We are on the same page there on that one. We kind of have inside information. We're doing Center Sports now and bringing them in. I like Center. I think they've got a chance. I know we've always talked about how good Carthage is, and they are still good. But this could be a year Center could get them if they don't play well. I think Carthage is going to be slightly down. The longer the season goes on, they're going to get better. So I'm not saying they're going to beat them, but it's the chance of this. They've gotten a little closer right here. I think this year's Center team, they're returning a lot back on offense. They've got some things to replace on defense. Talking to Coach Meeks a few weeks ago, but they've got a chance with the Dixon kid at running back. He's a stud. I've seen some highlights of him. I can't wait to get to watch some games of his on NetSN. And so I'm excited to see what they do. Eddie said he's got them at 9-1. So, we'll see if that's probably the Carthage game. Of course, they play a Louisiana team. Is it Bird? I think maybe they play a Louisiana team. So I'm not sure which one of those he's got as the loss, but I think that they're dangerous and very talented. Guys, give me some takes on center.
Okay. Well, I didn't know who to start first.
No, go ahead, Kyle.
Yeah, I think I like center. Again, they're in the tough district with Carthage. I think they've got a lot to replace on defense, like you said. That's going to be the only question mark for me. I think offensively they're going to be able to put up points with anybody. My question is, will they be able to stop anybody or get enough stops to win the game? So, but I really like center. I think they're going to have a really good season. I think they could be a sleeper team come playoff time too, where they can make a run in the playoffs this year.
All right.
I like that. I don't know if we were on a show when I said this. Maybe we were just talking to the center guys, but I told them, I said I would love to see them beat Carthage. And I think that they might be able to do it. They might be able to pull it off this year and just kind of shock them. So I mean, and they're part of the family, so I got to give them that respect too. So I dropped them in at number 6.
So here's all I was gonna say. I'm not gonna disrespect them. They play North DeSoto, by the way. North DeSoto is in
that's
Louisiana.
who it is. Thank you, Corey.
I'm not gonna disrespect anybody, and we said this, and I made a little joke about it last time. I was like, "Oh, Carthage wasn't as good as they were, and as they've been in the past, and they just went undefeated the year before, right?" That's the stupid for you to say, However, Center did play them better than anybody else played them last year, pretty much, besides Gilmer, right? And you know how good Center is. You know how good, Carthage is. Carthage is like the East Texas Bama. Okay, let's call it what it is, And they just keep rolling. They do everything the right way, for some reason on the field, and so I just I'm rooting for Carthage this year, man. I really am. I think they're one of those teams that could possibly go 9-1. They could possibly get an upset along the way. I'm rooting for them. They were tough last year. They made it deep in the playoffs, and I mean, for a team like that, they always have great athletes. You can never count on a team with good athletes. So hey, shout out to Center.
So Corey, are you saying that because I'm saying Carthage is not as good because they lost players, I'm not very smart? Is that what you're saying? Because they did lose some players. They're going to take a slight step back. They have to put it. They're going to be playing a sophomore quarterback. I know it's a coach's son, but he doesn't have very much varsity experience. I'm saying he may be better than Cuff, but Connor Cuff was a 2 or 3 year starter for them on offense, and you lose your.
Wait, what are we talking about? We're talking about center, right?
Well, no, he said that Corey took a shot at me because I said Carthage was taking a step back. He said anybody that was taking a Carthage was taking a step.
I don't know. I guess I missed that.
You did say that.
I said that Carthage a couple of weeks ago. I was saying that Carthage was not as strong as they were.
Well, they're not.
A few years ago.
They're not as strong as they were last year.
They're not. I was just saying it was a joke that they just went undefeated. I
thought you were coming at me over here, Corey, with some that I was not smart for picking Carthage.
You feel offended.
I was trying to defend my point.
The disrespect.
Yeah, I was.
You're right. The disrespect.
So
he was about to pull out the pick'em belt on me. He's like, wait a minute.
And that's not me saying Carthage is bad by any means. I'm not. They're really good. They're probably they're ranked number 1 on our poll for a reason, but they're not the Carthage of last year or the year before. I think they're going to take a step back. Over time, they may be better, but right now, I don't think that they're as good as they were last year because they're going to have they're only bringing back 11 stars. They lost half the starters, so they're going to have to replace them. Of course, they're going to have some. And like Eddie said, Carthage was not able to bring in transfers this year, so they had a couple. They had at least one kid that transferred in and went back, and so that was a big deal. The Dangerfield kid transferred over to Carthage, and then he went back to Dangerfield. So that's my only thing. I'm all in with Carthage. I think they're still good. I just think Center. I know they could have gotten them last. This is the year that Center, Pleasant Grove, Gilmer, those guys, could get a piece of Carthage this year. They better get it right now because they're going to get better as Surratt's son gets better. They're going to get better because I think the running backs, I don't think they lost. They got 3 running backs back, I think. So the running back game will be good. So they'll probably rely on the run a lot. I mean, it'll just be a different team without Connor Cuff in there. I mean, he's just been kind of the consistent factor of Carthage for the last 2 or 3 years. So that's my only thing. So that was my defense, Corey. I think I'm not saying they're not good. Carthage is still going to be very good. I just think at the start of the season, I think they're going to have, and I'm sure Coach Surratt's going to have them in form by the end of the. We know how that goes, but early they're gettable early. So if you get them early, you never know. All right, Brandon, who you got at 6?
6, I had Lindale because I had Lindale and center switch. Like, it was. I mean, at Lindale, Kilgore, and center, I had all about the same. You know, it was just like a kind of flip a coin for 5, 6, and 7.
Okay.
And then, but yeah. So.
Okay. So how off was I, Brandon? What do you think about Carthage stepping? Is it going to be? Do you think they're going to be a little bit? Are they going to be better already at the first year? What do you think?
I mean, it's Carthage. They're never going to be down, and then they're going to be right there fighting for a spot at AT&T every year, no matter. Because at Carthage is more about, it's cliche to say this, but at there it really matters. It's more about the name on the front than the back there because, I mean, you said, they had Connor Cuff the last 2 years. Before that, they had Kyle Horton, who's at Tulane. Before that, they had, Gunnar Cap, Sidarius Blackshear, Anthony Morgan. They've had that. The quarterbacks just keep coming there.
They got good teams. I'm just saying,
there's no reason to think Jets is going to be any different.
Oh, he'll be good. I'm not saying he's not. I'm just saying, it's a first year starting job for him, so it's going to be, he's young, so.
Yeah, but they still got a lot of weapons in a lot of places, and it's Carthage. It's what they do there.
Yeah. Well,
if you can't throw, you run it to your all-state running back.
And my only argument with that was, if there's a year to get them, you better get them now because they're only going to. With him at the quarterback, they're only going to get better the next 2 or 3. So
How many years have people said that in the past 16 years?
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
And you've only got them. You've only got them 7 times. They've won 9 of those.
Yeah, it's very true. But I think Eddie will agree. This Pleasant Grove has got. And I'm sure we'll get to them on the board, but this is they've got a lot of seniors coming back. This is a senior laden team, and if they're going to have a chance to get them, this is their year to get them. As far as with the group that they've got now. So, but yeah, I don't make Lindale's bad there, Brandon. I do think Lindale takes a little bit of a step back with that line and on both sides of the ball, and they're not. Like Coach Cochran said, their depth is their problem right now. I think he said they've got to build some depth, and so talking to him, that was his concern. It wasn't that he had the talent; it's just he's kind of going to be not as deep as he has been in the past right away. So he's got to build some of that up. So, but yeah, I have no argument with them right there at 6. Moving up to 5. Speaking of Lindale, Kyle. Your alma mater, you got him at 5. What are you thinking of the Lindale Eagles? I want to hear from the Lindalian. What do you got in Lindale?
Well, that's why I've been quiet this whole time. Y'all been talking about Lindale. I just wanted to hold off. I do agree. They do have a lot to replace offensively, especially on the offensive line. They do have arguably the best offensive lineman in the state coming back to their football team. Well, you could argue country. Okay. So for sure, state then.
Kyle was being humble there. He was just.
Casey Poe, but he can't play all the positions. He can only play.
Block 4 guys at once?
I don't think so. Maybe.
That's an offense on a ref.
Uh-oh. Hey, Eddie's got something for you, Kyle.
That's fine. I understand. Here's the thing. Lindale, the only thing I'll disagree with when I heard Vince say it earlier, defensively, they are not good. They were not good last year defensively. Y'all got a first-hand look at that when Chapel Hill put up 79.
Kilgore was Chapel Hill. I don't. But the thing is, it was Chapel Hill. You know what I'm saying? I'm not holding that against them.
They put
Chapel Hill did that to a lot of people. Yeah, that's what we do.
49 in the regular season, and then they put up 60 in the playoffs. Like the defense is not good. The defense is not good. They gave up a lot of points last year. If they need to shore up that defensive unit, I think, to make a deeper run. But I do trust Coach Cochran. He was at Lindell when I was at Lindell, so I have a relationship with Coach Cochran and the offensive line coach, Jacob Alford. I graduated with him. He's the offensive line coach at Lindell, one of the better offensive linemen to come through Lindell. He was undersized but played center and guard. So I trust that he will get those boys running in the right direction. I will say last year when we were covering the Lindell Van game and we went on the field before the game, and I know this is last year, but Lindell's offensive line was massive. Like they looked like grown men out there in high school, the whole line. So I know only a couple of them coming back for that, but they'll be good on the edges. Just got to see what the interior line's going to look like. But defensively, if they can get some more stops on defense, I think the offense is going to be fine.
Well, defensively, I actually wrote about this. It came out in today's paper, but it came online yesterday. But defensively, it's the linebacker spot where they're really trying to find that depth because they took one of their better linebackers, moved him up front. Jake Kerbo, he's going to have he had a big year last year. He's going to have a big year again this year. And so the defensive front is really good, and the secondary is really good. And the linebacker, they're just trying to find that depth there. And I think once and that's an important spot, especially in high school football. You got to have the linebackers you got to get that middle short up if you're going to. But if they can get that going, that can be the key. And then offensively, we talked about their offensive line. Well, you got returning quarterback Clint Thurman, who's very dynamic, and Marcus Field is one of the most underrated receivers in East Texas. 6'5", just can go get it. One of the best athletic receivers, and so that'll be a good spot for Lindale. So
yeah, Field is really good.
Corey's distracting me over there.
That's the Sam Houston eat 'em up Bearcats.
Yeah, I was about to say Sam Houston. And you're right, Clint Thurman coming back. And Brandon, I don't know if you remember this quarterback at Lindell, but he reminds me a lot of a Clay Price or a Lucas Shipman at Lindell. Kind of a smaller quarterback and can throw the football, but it's more of an athletic quarterback that can get out of the pocket and make some plays. So I'm excited to see what Lindell does this year. Like, I'm just worried about the defensive side. I'm not really so much worried. They'll put up points, but can they stop people is my question.
Yeah. All right, Corey, you got Jasper at 5. Tell us about the Jasper Bulldogs.
The Maroon Bulldogs of Jasper. Shout out Sam Houston State alum, Coach Cumbie, Jasper alum. I told you I wasn't going to disrespect him. And, whenever a head coach goes back to his alma mater, you always wish him well. They've got probably one of the best linebackers in the state, if not the best linebacker in the state, going to Texas A&M. Wish it was Texas, but he's going to A&M. Listen, Jasper's good. They've been climbing. They got a rough district. Silsby's in their district, so they got to play rough and tough. Jasper's holding on. They were 10-2 last year, so I mean, hey, you got to keep playing football. And that's one of the tougher teams. I'm gonna give a lot of shout out to. I'm gonna shout them out all time, all year long, especially on this show. We'll keep doing it. That team's gonna be really good. I don't know if they're as talented as the other schools around them, like the centers and stuff like that. But they are pretty good either way. And I'm gonna give them their props. They shot up in the fall. I told them to give them this props. I was. So shout out to Coach Cumbie and the Jasper Bulldogs. Y'all keep repping it.
All right. So at 5, me and Vince both have Kilgore here. To me, the top 4 that I voted for in the poll, I thought were kind of a step above the rest, in my opinion. Kilgore's right there, but I think they take a step back a little bit this season. I think the District of Doom is more level this year. I think Chapel Hill's kind of above everyone else, and then everyone else, there's Kilgore's still, I think, the second best team, but I think there's more. They're a lot closer than they have been in the past. And Kilgore may surprise me. They may come out and play better than I thought, but I just think that they're not as good as they have been the past couple years. I think they're going to be a little bit back. Vince, you got them at 5 as well. What do you see in Kilgore?
Pretty much the same thing. I think Kilgore's a good team. They fight hard every year. The district is last year it came down between them and Chapel Hill, and Chapel Hill got the best of them, and I think that it might come down to them again. I don't know. I don't want to say I would love for it to be a close one, but that was such a good game to watch. It was so intense. So, and that's what I go to games for, is that feeling, of who's gonna pull this out. That's the whole point of it all. Is to see teams rise above like that. So
when the game will be in Chapel Hill this year too, the district finale, week 11. So
I think they deserve that number 5 spot. I mean, they're a hard team to go get over. I mean, they're tough.
Yeah, Eddie's got them projected 7-3. All right, Brandon, what you got there at the 5 spot?
I had Kilgore too, and that, like I said, I had it kind of them Center and Lindale was always kind of about the same, and because that's always just always with them and Lindale in the same district, and it's normally a really good game fighting. They either facing a lot of times facing district and then facing the playoffs. Some combination of Chapel Hill, Lindale, and Kilgore meet in the playoffs. Most of the time, you play 2 of them. So.
Yeah,
But Kilgore, it's be interesting to see what the running back. Every year they crank out a running back that runs for 2,000 yards. Last year it was Isaiah Ross. Before that was Davin Ryder. We'll see who it is this year. And they got one of the best DBs around, and Zaylen Stoker. He's a pick machine back there. So and they got some real good dudes up front. Braden Nelson, some others. That's probably their strong suits are offensive line, that and their secondary. So. You got a strong offensive line. You can just throw a running back there, and he's probably going to get 2,000 yards at Kilgore. So.
Yeah. Okay. All right, we're going to move up to number 4, and again, like I said, I think we all were pretty in consensus. I think actually all of us had the top 4 the same. We just had a different order of them all. And that was kind of the point. I think Kyle mentioned it earlier about the bottom being the hardest part of the poll. I think it's top heavy. The top 4 were kind of, I mean, you honestly right now could, just order them in any 4, and to a point, I don't think anybody would argue with you why you could right now, because you just don't know how it's going to turn out. But we'll go starting with number 4 here. We got Kyle has Kilgore. Well, actually, Kyle, you have Kilgore here. So who did you not have up there?
I didn't put Pleasant Grove in. Sorry, Eddie. Here's the thing about Pleasant Grove. No, here's my reason. Here's my reason. I'm just not familiar enough with them. I don't know anything about them, so I didn't include them in the poll. That's the only reason.
Man, Eddie will definitely be sending or some tweets. He'll inform you about them now.
Hey, I get it. They're gonna be good.
I feel you though. I feel you though.
Last week I was talking about junk that I didn't know anything about. So this week I made sure that I know about my teams that I'm talking about. I don't know anything about Pleasant Grove.
What's that mean? What's that mean by Shackers? Like I wasn't familiar with your game.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
So hey, Eddie, can you send Pleasant Grove stats to Kyle Owens at netison.live, so that way he'll have those for you. You'll have the best stats ever for Pleasant Grove, Kyle. So you can be informed about them as
Hey, let me give you some Pleasant Grove real quick. They got Eddie's son, Caleb Hackelman, who's going to Oklahoma State. They got Jalen Bordley, who's one of the. I mean, they got Tori and I went blank on his last name, but Pleasant Grove's got dudes, and that them and Gilmer every year is going to be a throwdown, and then they'll beat Carthage in the playoffs too. So
Kyle, I respect why you didn't vote, because if you didn't know,
definitely.
But I guarantee you will from now on, because Eddie's not gonna let you live this
I'm gonna
down.
come off the poll all the year now, just because.
Ask Vince about that.
There you go. Yeah.
Hey, Eddie didn't forget about last year. He was tweeting Vince before the season was starting. I mean, he says 7 D1 players, Kyle. So
I know they're a good team. I understand that. I
understand, Kyle.
But I'm not going to put
Hey, it's so weird. Hey, don't get pressured by Eddie, man.
That's how you get caught up in stuff. That's how you get caught up in stuff.
I'm
You
not
don't know, you hush. That's
Exactly.
what you do. You don't know, you hush.
all right, so Kyle, you have Kilgore 4. Tell us why Kilgore's 4 for you.
I think Kilgore and Chapel Hill are going to be battling for that district championship out of that district. Kilgore played Chapel Hill really tough last year. Dang near made the state semifinals. It was a really close game, a 3-point loss to Chapel Hill in like that. So I think Kilgore's going to have a good team. I think Chapel Hill's the better team of the district, but I think Kilgore will be right up there with them.
Can I record that and play that back later?
Sure.
It's a great day when we have a Lindalian on and he says Chapel Hill's going to win.
Why would I leave Harmony off the poll next week? That makes no sense.
Get on.
Get
That makes no sense. So why would I leave them off?
I don't know. That's interesting. Okay, so all right, so we got let's see, who am I? Me and I have Gilmer. Corey, you and Vince have Pleasant Grove number 4. Go ahead and tell Eddie why you have them number 4. So I'm interested to see.
I got tired of Eddie. My nerves about Pleasant Grove.
Hold on, let me address this. First of all, I'm a grown man. I don't have to tell Eddie anything of the reason why I picked anything. First and foremost. Secondly, I picked Pleasant Grove because they are the top 4 in this area, in this region. They are very good. 7 D1 players, great offensive line, great coach, brand new facilities. I think they're getting a brand new weight room and locker room and everything else. So, hey, that's all I'm going to say. Pleasant Grove is definitely number 4 on this list. Those other 3 schools are top tier. Let's just say the other 3 schools for what we're talking about. Go ahead, Vince. I had to put that.
Nah, I just said I had to give them their credit. Eddie wore me out about Pleasant Grove all last year. I got tired of hearing it, so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna put them up there. I'm gonna wait on the fall too, though. But I'm gonna wait on the fall because it's coming. It's coming. Man. I'm gonna be right there.
Man,
see, I'm not wishing on Pleasant Grove's downfall.
No,
I set
them up.
They're a great football team. I mean, we're not saying, this ain't like we said Pleasant Grove ain't gonna win it.
Vince is gonna have his voodoo doll out and a Pleasant Grove football player. He's gonna be poking them and stuff here. He's trying to
nah.
Oh.
Hey, but they're a good team though. They are a good team. I gotta respect them for that. And like you said, 7 D1 starters and great coaching. I mean, what else you want me to say? They're dope. They're just a good school, man. They got a lot of good things going for them. It ain't just the players; it's the coaching too. Like Corey also said, they get a new facility, man. They got things going. They moving on all cylinders. So I expect for them to do some big things.
All right. I guess I have Gilmer number 4. Reason being is they're good, but I think the 3 teams above them are better. I mean, honestly, it's not anything against Gilmer. I think it's just of the 4 teams, I think Gilmer's the weakest in my opinion. We'll see week 1. Gilmer hosts Chapel Hill. It's going to be probably one of the games of the week around the area. Actually, it is the game of the week. Kyle, aren't you going to be there?
Nothing's been released.
Possibly. Yeah, so I know we have Timpson Beckville as well. That's a huge one, week 1. But on a Friday, I don't know if you get any bigger than that one. So, we'll see right away where Gilmer and Chapel Hill sit for sure that week 1. You also have Carthage and Kilgore week 1. So this poll will shake up a little bit. You'll kind of know exactly where everybody lies. Not that everyone's going to drop just because they lose to a good team, but we'll kind of know where those big ones sit. But just to me, Gilmer's good. They're on the Carthage level. They're kind of like Carthage in the aspect where they just kind of reload every year. And so I think losing Llewellyn's they're gonna drop just a little bit. But I think they're still going to be a solid team, and it's going to end up being Carthage, Pleasant Grove, and Gilmer right there. Probably whoever wins that region is going to be your state champion, or a very good possibility of being that. So I think that's more of the reason why I picked Gilmer here, is not because they were. It's just they weren't. I don't think they're as good as the other 3 ahead of them, and that's just flat my opinion there. Brandon, where are you sitting here with this 4 spot?
I picked Gilmer 4, but I mean, you could probably toss them on a hat and pick them out and be right, because we'll find out a lot, because like I said, Gilmer plays Chapel Hill week 1, and they'll play Pleasant Grove at least once, maybe twice, and so and then they'll play Carthage. one of them or both of them will play Carthage. So it'll all sort itself out. But I got Gilmer at 4, but you can't go wrong. You can put it. I mean, technically you can put them at 1, but I'd say 2 through 4. You could not be wrong if you put them there. So
yeah. Okay. All right. Number 3 here we got. So let's see. Vince and Kyle have Chapel Hill 3. Corey has Gilmer 3, and I have Pleasant Grove 3. Vince, you and Kyle have Chapel Hill 3. Y'all, you two go ahead first there. What do you like from the Bulldogs there at 3?
Bulldogs are returning with a lot of starters. They got a lot of guys coming up. Great team, great coaching. I mean, literally, I'm gonna be real with you. 1, 2, and 3. Honestly, this really comes down to Gilmer and Chapel Hill. Carthage, I just had to sit aside and say Carthage, they the king of the mountain. They're not going nowhere. I'm not even gonna pay attention to that till somebody knocked them off, you know. So I sat there for a moment trying to figure out what I liked about Gilmer, what I liked about Chapel Hill. There's things to like about each one of these schools. There's things that might say that could give them a little bit of problems here and there late in the season when they play some top heavy teams. And so ultimately, my decision came down to where they faced each other off at last year, pretty much. And so, and because I could predict on who I think is better, but honestly, I don't know what's going to happen until after they play each other. So I just went off of how they finished after they played each other last year, pretty much. That is how I did it.
I think Chapel Hill's the best East Texas team in 4A Division 1. I think they're going to represent East Texas. I think they'll go to the state championship this year, in my opinion. I think Brisbane is a hell of a player. So is Ricky Stewart. The only reason I put it behind Gilmer, just for me personally, is because Gilmer, just to me, has to go through Carthage, and Chapel Hill doesn't have to do that. But in the first week, those two will swap. If Chapel Hill beats Gilmer, then I would put Chapel Hill above Gilmer. I mean, it's hard to tell going into week 1. It's a good thing these two teams play each other week 1 because we'll get a good barometer. First game, but you kind of a good idea. So this is very subject to change after week 1. But I put Chapel Hill there.
I want to throw this out there, Kyle, while you're talking about 2-3. You might as well just have a BCS playoff matchup with your top 4 because you got Carthage and Kilgore was your 1 and 4, and you got Gilmer and Chapel Hill as your 2-3. So that's going to help you seed your teams there.
Exactly. That's why I did it. You know what I mean? No, I think and Eddie made a good point here. Chapel Hill early in the season last year had a problem with turnovers. That was a big issue that Chapel Hill had. If they can cut down the turnovers, then there's no reason that they won't be in Arlington at the end of the year. I mean, they have the team to do it.
Mm-hmm. All right. So next up we got, let's see, Corey, you have Gilmer. Tell me why Gilmer's 3rd on your list.
I don't think Gilmer's better than Chapel Hill or Carthage. Gilmer's consistent. Like I said, they're a program. These top 4 schools, I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm a homer. I'm a Chapel Hill guy. Pleasant Grove, Gilmer, and Carthage all have programs. They all have consistent programs, and they've been consistent for the past 10 years. And they've been growing and growing and growing, and they know what the standard is. And so as far as talent goes, I didn't vote it based off of talent. I voted just based off of just that consistency there. Gilmer's going to do what Gilmer does. Watched a lot of film of what they did last year. A lot of times they took some punches early in the game, but later on, eventually they end up bending their will to a lot of other opponents and teams. And that's what they do. They play mistake-free football. And that's not anything you have. That's not talent. That's just coaching. That's just guys knowing what the score is, guys knowing how to play the game of football. They know what the game is. And you don't get that by youth. You get that by a program. They know how to win football games. And that's a football program. Knowing how to win, when to win. They don't get up and down based off of turnover. You can turn the ball over 5 times, doesn't matter. But if they come back and win the game, that's what matters to them, and they play that way. So that's just good program football, man. That's why they're number 3.
Okay. Well, I had Pleasant Grove 3, and I don't want to sound repetitive, but it's kind of like the Gilmer one. Like Pleasant Grove is an amazing team, but it's that question: can they get over that hump? And that hump has been Carthage. I know is hoping that happens this season. His son's a senior, and good luck to them this season. But again, it's Carthage, and like I said earlier, if you're going to get them a year, Pleasant Grove's got a lot of seniors. Carthage lost some players. Will Carthage be able to reload? They have in the past. We have to assume they probably will, but could it be a year that Pleasant Grove gets them? Like Eddie said, Carthage is their kryptonite. It's kind of like that team that stings you. Gilmer kind of feels probably the same way, Eddie. There's a lot of teams that Carthage is the kryptonite of them.
I was about to say Carthage is kryptonite for a lot of teams.
They are, and so I think that's the thing. Like, there could be a state title game in 4A Division II in that region. Whoever comes out of that game has a very good chance of running the table. Now, it's not a guarantee. There's still other good teams around the state, but it's Beast Texas. The 4A and below. I feel like that we have a team in every region or every division that's got a legitimate chance of making that run. And so I think Carthage and Pleasant Grove, I think it's going to be a good game. I'd love to be at that game when it happens because I think it's going to be a classic. But, I just think right now, if I'm just picking off of what I know and what I've seen in the past, I've got Pleasant Grove at 3. Brandon, what you got?
I have the same thing, and I'm all kind of going. I got to dip out, so I'm gonna run down my top 3 real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
I had Pleasant Grove at 3, and I kind of went over why a while ago. They got just loaded everywhere. They got Kari Johnson at quarterback's a stud. They got just Jalen Bordley's a stud on both sides of the ball. Just dudes everywhere. Then I had Chapel Hill at 2. I hadn't talked about them much yet, but we know they've been to state semifinals 2 years in a row. They lost some players, but they got a lot back. They got D1 talent all over the field. They just between Demetrius Brisbane and Ricky Stewart and Javen Mayfield and Day Ross, Cameron Kelly. You can just keep naming them. They got dudes everywhere, up front, in the back. Just that I don't know where there's a weakness at Chapel Hill because every position they got at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dudes that can fill in, and they just at every level they can come at you in waves. And there's going to be some games where they get scored on, but not many teams are going to be able to stop them from scoring at least 50. So this ain't 7-on-7. And when you give Demetrius Brisbane and Ricky Stewart the chance to run, it could be a long night for your defense. So, and then I got Carthage at 1 until they say otherwise. They're going to be number 1, and until someone knocks them off. But they'll be probably number 1 all season until they play Center, and we'll see how that goes, or at least till they play either Gilmer or Pleasant Grove. We'll see how that goes. But it's Carthage, and every year the expectations they're going to be in Arlington, and they've been there 9 out of the last 6. Well, they've been to state championship 9 out of the last 16 years and won it all 9 of those times. So there's always a chance it could be number 10, and until we see otherwise.
Yeah, that's great points there, Brandon. Well, Brandon, thanks for joining us tonight, taking time out of your busy schedule. I know you got like a million articles to write. Hey, if you're looking for information about high school football around the area, Brandon Ogden at the Tyler Paper, he's got articles and things everywhere. So go check out his stuff, tylerpaper.com. Brandon, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me on, guys. I'll go watch the rest later too.
All right,
Brandon.
See you, Brandon. That's Brandon Ogden there. I appreciate Brandon for joining us, guys. So we're now at that. We're now at the 2. Did I get everybody's third? I think I did. I got everybody in. So we're at the top 2 now. So we got you got me and Corey have Carthage at 2. Vince and Kyle have Gilmer at 2. I'm gonna go ahead and let Kyle and Vince go first on your Gilmer at 2 there.
I already explained it. My 2
it's been said.
It's
We've all kind of repeated the same thing about Gilmer.
Yeah,
the same way.
2 and 3 is. They're interchangeable in a way, but they got to play each other. So, in my opinion, my 2 and 3 So I'm waiting till they play each other to determine which one of them I should rank higher. I don't even want to say which one is better than the other. Which one I should rank higher than the other. So
Okay.
that and like I said, for me, I'm not moving Carthage off that mountain. So Carthage stayed number one.
Everything Vince just said, I co-sign it.
Co-sign it. All right.
That's it right there, KO.
So me and Corey have
You can't strip a step
so
and
me
double
and Corey
step.
have Carthage too, and mainly the reason is I think Chapel Hill is more loaded this year than Carthage, in my opinion. Carthage is consistently there, but Chapel Hill's bringing more back. They've been to the state semifinals 2 years in a row, and they've got a lot of those guys back. They're the only guys you're losing. You're losing Tyson Berry, Deuce McGregor, and Kevion Huddleston are the main cogs of that you're losing. But they've got skill guys. I don't think that's the problem. They can replace the skill guys. Huddleston's a big loss on the line, but they've got some guys coming in that can fill those spots. I just don't see Carthage. To me, they may be right there with Chapel Hill, but they're in two divisions. So honestly, you rank 1-1, 1-2, they're not going to play each other. So I went with Chapel Hill just because, and it's not because I'm from Chapel Hill. I honestly think Chapel Hill has more coming back than Carthage, and to start the season, they're going to be better. Chapel Hill has as many games played in the last 3 seasons as anybody in the area without winning a state championship. You got 43 games in the last 3 seasons that Coach Reardon coached. And he talked about that when I interviewed him at their coaching school. Like, they've got the most experience for non-state team, probably close to in the state, having going that deep. So that's why I'm going with Carthage at 2, is just because I just think they have a more to replace, and they're going to have some more questions to answer than Chapel Hill will right out of the gate. So that's my argument. Corey, go ahead.
Okay.
Gotta take my toothpick out.
Oh, he's getting serious now. He knows toothpick's coming out.
Carthage at 2 because Carthage is at 2. No disrespect to Carthage. I think Chapel Hill may be the most talented team in Class 4A. I'm not just being a homer. Watched a lot of game, and I've actually went and watched a lot of film over the summer and stuff, and did some research on some teams. I just hadn't did any name dropping. I look at the full body of work and not as individual players. But of course, we're homers here, so we know a lot about Chapel Hill. I'm not just going to throw any names out there at this point, but it's a program-defining moment for those guys. Kilgore has a program where everyone knows what Kilgore does. Pleasant Grove has a program. Lindale has a program. They've been building a program for several years. This is a very big year as far as a program-defining moment for Chapel Hill. They're very young, but they have a lot on their shoulders. They're a very experienced football team. Like you said, they played more football games than most teams have played in 3 seasons in 2 years. And you've got a starting quarterback that's been out there for the past 2 seasons, one full season as a starting quarterback. The other one was, a quarter of a season. If you think about it, it's a lot on this team, a lot on this young team, but it's a program-defining moment for this school, for this team. And winning the state championship, you say it early, you want to win state, but it's going to take a game. But I think they're the fastest team in the region here. I'm gonna say this, and I'm just gonna get it. I'm gonna get off my chest. The week 1 game against Gilmer will define their season for me. That'll let me know exactly what type of football team. If they go to Gilmer and it's like 50-0, I rest my case. I have nothing. They have nothing to prove. They go the rest of the year, and they did what they're supposed to do, because that means that team is locked in and loaded. You don't go to Gilmer and blank them like that. Not saying that it will happen. I'm saying that is the mission. That team is very talented. That's a goal that you want to go to them. You know what? We didn't play our best last year. Let's go to Gilmer. Let's put on 50 and then just walk out. Let's play the sub the rest of the half. They're not better than us. Let's play the sub. That's how you know that team's ready to play football. And I'm looking for that type of response from that program, from that team, because this is that type of year that they have. So I'm putting them up there, a lot of expectations, but I think they're ready for it. And I think mentally they got to be prepared. It has nothing to do with talent. It's all in between the ears.
I like that. So And of course, ours are flip flops, so we can talk about the ones. I mean, me and Corey have Chapel Hill at 1, and Kyle and Vince have Carthage at 1. And again, like I said a while ago, they're both in different classifications. Technically, you got Division 1, Division 2. They're not going to play each other, so you could put them either way. I'm just looking at some things that I've heard and talked about. So I got to talk to Coach McFarland a little bit this week at school, and he's telling me this year that Code Blue defense is going to be locked and loaded. He's thinking under 20 points a game this year. He's saying he's got some dudes they're going to turn it up. So that's what I look to see. We know the offense. They're going to put up points. Chapel Hill, if they can stop people, and I know Kyle kind of said this about Lindale, but Chapel Hill for sure, if they can stop people, then they're going to be hard to beat, because what's going to happen is, last year they got off game 1, Gilmer turned the ball over 7 times. It's hard to win a football game like that. And so, but if they can stop people, you have better chances, because they do tend to still have those mistakes that pop in, and that's what's going to get them. But if the defense steps it up and is able to turn some of those turnovers and able to hold maybe to field goals, to 4 and outs, those kind of things that can save those mistakes, it's going to be tough to get them off the field, because with the Brisbane Stewart backfield, you've got Kelly and Mayfield. I mean, you're talking about D1 talent while I go with Pleasant Grove. You got 2 classes worth of guys. You got D1. You got 2 SFA commits, which I don't know if they're even classified as D1 now. Are they? Are they Division 2? SFA. Everybody always moves around.
They're in the WAC conference.
Well,
this mid-major.
Okay, well,
right now.
all these schools move around all the time, Corey. I mean, it's still weird that they don't play Sam Houston. That's, to me, that's still strange. But anyway, so with all that D1 talent that they've got coming back, I mean, it's just hard not to pick them. Now we're going to get to see a lot of them. Vince and I are going to be in some calls. Keith's going to be doing some calls there. But you're right, Corey. Week 1, I mean, the first 2 weeks for me are key. And I think Coach Reardon said that when I interviewed him, because last year they let the Gilmer game week 1, they let that beat them in week 2. They came out flat against Van, and Van took advantage of them. And like Kyle said, Van's always going to play tough. So you can't come out, they were still sulking about how they lost to Gilmer week 1. I honestly feel like that was the case. And just they laid an egg in Van, and Van came out and beat them. So those first 2 games not only are they big games, they're revenge games for Chapel Hill, because those are those trying to revenge a couple of losses from last season. They came out highly ranked in the state, and they lost those first 2, and they were out of the state polls all of a sudden. So that was a big hit in the mouth. Guys, I know you guys hadn't really talked about y'all's yet. Kyle, what are you and Vince, what are you guys thinking about the 2 teams?
What 2 teams? Carthage?
Yeah,
Carthage and Chapel Hill. Between the 2, are you kind of like with us? It's just basically their Division 1, Division 2. You could go.
Yeah, I mean, I think one's the best team in D2, one's the best team in D1.
Can we do like a preseason game and let them face each other? So like
no.
Put them
we don't want to get my hurt.
It's in man.
I want a fantasy game. Like, those are the kind of games I like to see. I wish they could, do that kind of stuff. So we got the polls. We're all pretty close. I mean, there's the bottom. We're kind of, there's a little bit to go. I think as the season goes, we'll kind of know what some of these teams are. I'd like to go down and just do a quick over each district, and let's just pick who we think is going to make the playoffs. Most of these are going to probably be pretty easy. We'll start with the Kaufman district. I think first, that's the one we talked about earlier. They had Sulphur Springs, Kaufman, and Anna. I think those 3, we all kind of talked about those, or those are locked. Who are y'all thinking at that 4 spot there? That's going to be the district with
Paris. I got Paris at 4.
Paris.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty good. I like Paris as well, Kyle. I think that's a good one. They're kind of on that fringe spot, because that's a tough one to match up against, because they're going to be matching up, moving over to the eastern area. So, all right, we got District 9. Of course, we talked about this earlier. This could be actually a toss-up. To me, it's Chapel Hill and Kilgore still are the best 2. I think Lindale is a step back behind them. And I'm going to say, and this may shock you guys, I like Jacksonville to step up and make that 4th spot. I know it's going to be between them and Palestine, and I know some of you may disagree. I like Coach Holman and what he's doing in Jacksonville. They were really close last year on a couple of games. They could have gone either way. And I just think that this is the year Jacksonville makes that breakthrough.
Yeah, I got Chapel Hill, Kilgore, and Lindale at 3, and then Palestine at 4. I think those are the top 4 teams. I hear what you're saying about Jacksonville, and I think those bottom 3 teams are going to be improved. Like we said earlier, there's not going to be an easy week for any of these teams. It's going to be a dogfight week in and week out. But I think that Chapel Hill Kilgore game is for the district title.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's and of course Kilgore is probably going to have a loss because they're going to play Carthage week 1, so it won't be an undefeated matchup. But they could still be ranked if Kilgore runs the rest of their table. It's possible it could be a top 10 matchup there last week of the season.
Palestine is district runner.
Oh, Corey. Oh, that's okay. Okay, so what's your order? So what's your order then, Corey?
I'm not picking an order.
We're picking an order. We're picking an order. Give us an order.
I'm just saying Palestine.
It's just a prediction.
Palestine's number 2.
So I'm assuming you got Chapel Hill 1.
I really don't know who's going to be number 1. I don't because the district is loaded. I don't think Palestine's going to win the district, but I think they'll finish number 2. I think the district championship is probably going to be out of Chapel and Kilgore again, and from that point on, I don't know.
So at least give us who you think is going to make the playoffs.
District favorite.
Who's going to make the playoffs then? If you don't want to give us an order.
Lindale, Chapel Hill, Palestine.
Okay. Vince, what do you think?
Lindale, Chapel. I mean, the first 3 are Lindale, Chapel Hill, and Kilgore. I mean, maybe Jacksonville.
Okay. No Athens this year, Vince. No inside information. I'm still.
They gotta learn to finish in district.
Okay.
They gotta learn to finish in district.
Okay. So. All right. Well, if you got any inside information on them, let us know. We need to know this stuff.
I'll let you know when some information come up.
Okay.
Yeah, good authority.
All right, so we'll drop down to D2 then. We'll look at those. We got we're gonna look at District 7 because you guys wanted to look at that one, so we'll take a look at District 7. That's the Gilmer, Liberty Allo, Spring Hill, North Lamar, Pittsburgh, and Pleasant Grove. I got Pleasant Grove, Gilmer, then Liberty Allo, and that 4th spot. It could be between North Lamar and Pittsburgh for me. I'm going to go Pittsburgh in that 4th spot. But that district is really top heavy, especially the top 2.
Liberty Allo didn't get any respect from me this past year. I didn't vote for them at all this year, but they're a very good football team. So that's Liberty Allo. They have a very good football team this year. I give them that respect.
I'm same as you, Bret. I got Pleasant Grove winning the district. Pleasant Grove and Gilmer will be for the championship. Gilmer at 2, then at Liberty Allo at 3, Eddie, and then Pittsburgh at 4.
You have Pleasant Grove not making the playoffs.
If I don't know anything about Pleasant Grove, I don't know anything about Liberty Allo. And to your comment next week,
disrespect.
To your comment about next week, Hooks won't be in my top 10 for 3A either. Sorry.
Oh, watch out. Well, Hooks folks are going to be all over you.
They left after Harmony beat them in the playoffs.
I talked to a couple of them. They're supposed to be coming back, so we'll see.
We'll see. Well, Harmony and Hooks play week 1, so we'll see if they come back.
Yeah, we'll see. I guess they're true. All right, Corey, what do you think there? Who you got making the playoffs in this district?
Top 4: Liberty Allo, Pittsburgh, Pleasant Grove, and Gilmer.
So all consistent there. Vince, you got anybody different? You think anybody else can sneak in, or you taking the same 4?
That's what it's going to be.
Okay. This next district, though, I think honestly is the toughest to order. I mean, last year was kind of crazy. You had Carthage at top, and like Center, Van, and Rusk all beat each other with some weird tiebreakers and stuff. Honestly, this year I think Carthage is the one. I think Center's the strong 2 this year. I think they kind of step out of the kind of the Rusk Van area. I'm going to go Van at 3 and Rusk in 4 there in that district.
Yeah, I got the same. I think that Carthage Center game is going to be for the district championship.
Could be Carthage's toughest game on their schedule.
I think so. I definitely don't think it'll look like last year where Carthage won 64-28. I don't think it'll look like that. I think it'll be a lot closer. But I got Carthage 1, Center 2, Van 3, and Rusk 4.
I mean, Carthage.
I'm going Center 1.
Oh,
Center.
you heard it first
1,
here.
Carthage 2, Rush 3, Van 4.
Okay. All right.
I want Center to beat Carthage, but I said I want them to beat Carthage. I mean, they played them the hardest last year, and they still lost by what, 20, something like that. They scored the most points against Carthage anybody scored all year at 21, I think, or 28.
I think that's part of the thing we talked about with several teams tonight. I mean, that they're not going to worry about scoring points, but it's like that defense. It seems like it's a common theme among teams that the difference maker is going to be that defense.
I want Center to beat them, but again, I have to. I'm looking at it from a perspective of King of the Mountain, so I have to keep Carthage up there just out of respect of what they've managed to accomplish over the last decade, and so that puts Carthage number 1, Center 2. Rusk and then Van.
Okay.
Yeah. Rusk and then Van.
Yeah, honestly, you could flip those bottom. Rusk and Van, I think, is going to be a really good one.
They're interchangeable.
Yeah. All right. So the last district we'll look at is the 9 4A Division 2. That's the Silsbee Jasper district. I think, honestly, those two teams are head and shoulders above the rest. I mean, you talked about it earlier. I like Jasper. I think Silsbee's a solid 2. The other teams in the district, you got Bridge City, Hampshire, Fannett, Liberty, and West Orange Stark. I'm honestly going to say I'm like Kyle on this one. I don't really know much about the other teams, but I'm going to go Hampshire, Fannett, and West Orange Stark just on some things that I've looked at. But I mean, I would be lying to you if I tell you I would put any money on that.
I'm just going to go off last year's district. I mean, Silsbee won that district, so I'll take Silsbee to win it. Jasper 2, just because I'm more familiar with West Orange Stark when they played all those battles with Gilmer back in the day. I'm going to take West Orange Stark at 3, and then Hampshire Fannett at 4, I guess. I don't know. I don't know anything about them.
Well, Conrad seems to agree with you. You got West Orange Stark at 3, so.
Okay, there we go. Well, great minds do think alike.
I don't have to ask Corey who he's picking number 1 here.
Jasper's number 1, Silsbee 2, Hampshire Fannett 3, and West Oso, 4.
All right, Vince.
I don't know nothing about this district. I'm going with Jasper number 1, Silsbee 2.
I think those are your top. I mean, those are the teams we're going to talk about. Probably they're going to be sitting around in our
poll. That we're going to talk about.
So I mean, they're kind of a head and shoulders above the rest of the district, and you can just flip a coin.
West Orange Stark. I don't know. Hardin Jefferson. I'm gonna go with those 2.
Hardin Jefferson their basketball team's always really solid.
Yeah.
Same basketball, Bret.
I know. Hey, I'm finding ways to pick teams. Well, they have a good basketball team. We'll just, All right. Next couple of weeks, guys, we got next week we got the 3A, 2A, and TAP show. We'll be releasing that. That's going to be a tough poll for me. There's a lot of teams. You got those 2 classifications in the TAP schools. You got lots of teams to pick from. So I'm interested to see how that all kind of shakes out. Something I want to mention, guys, and this is something with the app. Last year, you guys probably didn't know this. So last year total in our pick'em games, we had 28 different people picked throughout the season. That's week 1 to the state championships. Not everybody picked every game. This week, so far for week 1, we have 50 people that have picked in our Pick'em Challenge, guys. 50 people. So what I want to announce is we will be giving away something for the winners each week. Now, you only want if you're an NSN person, you don't qualify for that. Sorry everybody. I know.
Pick'em belt. You got to give
No,
away the
no.
pick'em belt.
So every week we're gonna have so if you can only win once. So you win week 1, you can't win week 2, 3, 4, 5. You only can win 1 week, but you still are eligible for the end of the year. We're gonna have some kind of end of the year total prize. So you got to make sure you pick every week if you're picking your games. Again, we'll be talking about those on the wrap up show every week of how Corey's theories did or didn't work this week. How Vince's little scrap of paper he's gonna try to be writing down some stats and numbers, and you got to get those out. Kyle's gonna
madness.
Hey, Kyle's gonna have all this inside information now because he's working at the TV station, so he's gonna have all these. He's gonna have these cheat codes on us now, so he should be having.
Not for Northeast Texas though.
Well,
not for Texarkana. I'm sorry.
Oh well. That's okay though. That's okay because there's.
I'm playing up the heel character right now. I'm getting into my heel character for Eddie.
We're gonna call you Professor KO tonight. We got Conrad said he's in on it. I know Eddie's picked. I mean, I appreciate everyone that's picked so far. It's awesome. We got lots of new content. We'll have our Beast from the East podcast coming up soon, where we'll talk about the Big 10 games of the week. That'll be our pick 'em. All the NetSN guys are welcome. It'll be kind of a roundtable discussion about those games. We'll go back and forth and pick some teams. We got another podcast. We got the Old Dog Show with me, Vince, and Corey. We're going to have that coming out soon. We're going to talk. That's where we'll talk Chapel Hill football. So those Chapel Hill football fans, or maybe if you're just interested about what's going on with Chapel Hill, we'll have some good inside information, coaches interviews, player interviews, all kinds of great stuff here. Of course, if you like wrestling, we have DSN, our other channel. Me and Kyle are on there every so often talking wrestling. We bring in this guy named the Professor that choose everybody a new one when he disagrees with them, and well, it's entertaining. We get along. It's great because it's like 4 or 5 of us. We love wrestling, and we all have different opinions. And sometimes I might agree with Kyle one week, and other night I didn't agree with him. So it's always, you just never know what you're going to get on there. So we'll check that out. Also, we got That's So Dope first episodes on there too. Hopefully, the That's So Dope crew will have something coming out soon. Corey, you got any insight on that with the That's So Dope?
Not currently. No current news. No news is good news. No news is good news.
And you got that first episode out there, so go check it out and listen to the
Corey, I'm still waiting on my invite for the That's So Dope podcast. So I'm sure my invite got lost in the mail. I'll just wait for it.
Hey, don't worry, Kyle. I hadn't got my invite either.
Same thing. The same thing happened to my Texas football magazine got lost in the mail. So, but you know what did come in my mailbox? A jury summons. Those always come on time. The jury summons is
never
always
gonna be late on them.
It's like it's a yellow, that's a pink slip or yellow slip now. And it's all you got a nice Q code. I don't know.
Speaking of QR code, we have our app. Hopefully, if you're able to watch and listen on the app tonight, here's our QR code for it. Android app coming out soon. I'll make the announcement once it's available. Continue to share and expand the app. The more people out there with the app, the more updates, our scores, and things will be on Friday nights and Thursday nights and whenever the games are. So make sure you go check that out as well. Guys, in closing, any final thoughts?
Nope. Ready for the season to start.
I know. We got, 2 weeks from Friday.
Oh, hey, I'm going to a scrimmage Friday.
All right.
I'm going to be at it's right down the road. I'm going to be at Lindale scrimmage in Sulphur Springs. So
okay.
I'm going to go out there and see some football on Friday.
2 teams you ranked in your poll. You can kind of get some insight on and get a little extra information.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see what happens.
All right. Well,
what's with all the insiders?
We got an insider channel.
Yeah, maybe I want to
KO Insider channel, information.
Call me Ian Rappaport or Adam Schefter.
You're selling secrets here. Yeah, Adam Schefter. Yeah. It's not selling secrets here, man.
Oh, that's going to do it for tonight's show. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in and watching. Thanks, Brandon Ogden from the Tyler Paper, for joining us. For KO, for CM, for Vince, I'm Bret. We'll catch you next time right here in the Weekly Wrap-Up Show. Next Wednesday night, 8:30 p.m. Set your alarm. Don't forget. We'll tune in next time. Everyone, good night, everyone.
Peace.
Damn, Karen.
Is your demanding work lifestyle in need of fire-resistant clothing that can keep up? Well, L4FR clothing should be your go-to for quality, affordability, safety, and style. L4FR was founded by a third-generation oil field worker who is also a veteran. Thus, this company has a deep appreciation for reliability and longevity, all while we provide first-rate customer service. Our durable apparel will serve you well for many years to come, whether you're working on a pipeline, a lineman climbing utility poles, or in any other environment requiring fire-resistant apparel. L4FR has you covered. Our apparel is tough enough to resist hazardous conditions while still providing high comfort and style. L4FR provides clothing options to ensure your safety and comfort, whether you're on the job or not. To view our complete inventory of flame-resistant garments, please visit our online store at l4frclothing.com or give us a call at 817-757-4935. Si habla español.
Struggling with mobility, chronic pain, work, or sports injury? At Azalea Orthopedics, our team of highly trained physicians specialize in complete orthopedic care, pain management, sports medicine, physical medicine, and rehabilitation. If you've sustained a bone or joint injury, have mobility or movement problems, struggle with pain, contact Azalea Orthopedics. We're conveniently located across East Texas, serving 18 counties. When visiting your doctor, urgent care, or hospital, you have a choice. Demand Azalea. At Azalea Orthopedics, your health is our priority.